Hi, welcome to the garden. I'm Garrett from Common Ground Garden Permaculture in Zone 5B in Southern Ontario. It is July 1st, 2026, so happy Canada Day. I'm just going to give a little bit of an update of what's going on in the garden right now. We had a horribly cold winter and a long cold spring, and now we're into a heat wave from all of that. This is our squash patch, which we're really proud to have installed a drip line irrigation. The squash are up, so are the weeds. And here in a compost pile, we put in a little pumpkin hill, and they're doing very well as well. They don't have their own irrigation system, but we do water them by hand. Next, we have our potato patch. Each of the members who wanted a potato patch took care of planting and weeding their row, and they're in various states of being weeded and hilled. And this is the extension of our west orchard. So we've got some newly planted young plum trees and some high bush cranberry. These are some nectarine bushes that we planted last year. A lot of our fruit trees that we planted last year suffered horribly over the winter, but at least they survived for the most part. This is an almond tree. There's a lot of dieback on this one, but it has budded out and it's doing well, so I suppose that's what I should be focusing on. Here is our garlic patch, and as we go down, we have more fruit-bearing or stoneberry bushes. These are hazelnut. These are our young Asian pears. And here we've got a row of nectarines, and then a young row of raspberries. These were just planted this spring, so they're just getting settled in, but some of them are actually producing. And these ones, I'm really pleased with how big and vibrant these young trees are. These are apricot trees and plum trees. But again, our winter was so cold, all of the flower buds froze over winter. And we have a row of black-cap raspberries here, which are almost a weed, but it's so rewarding planting something that wants to survive and does not mind the cold winters. Here we have some peach trees, some cherry trees, a Javed's almond tree, which produced an almond last year, and then again this winter was horribly cold, so it didn't do much of anything. And we've got intermixed, we have red currant, gooseberry, and in the cylinders we have some very young pawpaw seedlings that were planted from seed last year. 2 rows of rhubarb, which just got some weeding done, and some hardy cherry bushes. These are the D'Artagnan cherries. These survived the winter quite well, but they're still young, so we're not going to get a lot of fruit, but we will get some little cherries off of them, hopefully more next year. Surprisingly, we've got a good number of strawberries from these weed-infested rows, with surviving on neglect. And this row, quite proud of it. This is asparagus that I planted from seed in 2024. So they were the tiniest little things, and again, I need to weed these and take care of them, but we actually harvested them this spring for a couple of weeks. We didn't want to overdo it because they are young, but already in their 3rd year from seed, we were able to actually harvest asparagus spears. This is a row of more established raspberries. They were planted 2 years ago, so they're in production now. This row is a bit of a disappointment. We've got blackberries, which are normally very hardy, but there was a lot of dieback on the canes this winter, just because it was so brutally cold. So you can see we've got dead floricanes. Primicanes coming up are gorgeous, but this happens once every few years that you get such cold winters, about one in 10 here in our area, and this was one of them. So we're going to have very few blackberries this year, but we will have lots of raspberries. And these, well, we've got a few extra asparagus because when I planted them from seed, I had no idea. And all 120 seeds that I planted all germinated. And so we had to find room to plant them all. So at the end of this row of apple trees and black currants, we have our extra asparagus. So these two are apple trees, and in between the apple trees we have black currants, which are coming along nicely. I've got to continue to get the irrigation system set up on this part of the orchard, because even though the apple trees are probably established well enough, these young black currant bushes are going to need a little help in order to produce fruit. And so the apple trees are doing quite well. We don't have a lot this year. In fact, very few. On the other side, we have more apples, but we do have a nice, beautiful apple. And these are apple trees that are growing wild here in southern Ontario. And one of the members of our garden, Stephen, his daughter, Shanoa, has been very creative in grafting all sorts of trees, and these were a variety that she enjoyed when she was young, so she's grafted them, and we have 24 of them, plus a few name brand varieties of apples that we've added as well. We've got Liberty and Honeycrisp. This is in this little patch that I'm coming up to here behind the trailer. We've got a mix of things. So we've got some red currant and strawberry plants as a ground cover. And this young guy is a young Liberty apple tree that I got as a bare root stock from Vessie's 2 years ago. And even with the deer browse that he suffered this winter, he is doing very well, he or she. And so I'm pleased with that one. This is the best harvest of red currant we've ever had. I'm very excited about all of this. And this young tree is an Ultra Northern Pecan tree, which is to be planted a couple of years ago. I found out that I planted one. I planted a few more. I wanted to have them down by the deer, so then I put these protective cylinders around them. Inside the cylinders, they're actually coming up quite nicely. So we will have some companions for our northern, Ultra Northern Pecan tree. This is the apple tree that I'm quite pleased with. This is a pristine apple tree, and it's 3 years old, and it has a nice crop of young apples. It's a producing apple tree, so we should have apples mid to end August from it. Now, on the inside of the fence, we fenced it this year because the rabbits have been so aggressive eating our beans and peas, but around the perimeter we have a variety of fruiting bushes. So we've got hazelnut, blackcurrant, Saskatoon. Some of the Saskatoon are producing. I still haven't seen a nut on these hazel trees, but hopefully this is their 4th year, so I would like to get something. I did see catkins this year, so they're flowering, but I'm yet to see fruit set on them. These are elderberry, which really have taken off, and they're in fact competing with our hazel trees, so we might have to reduce them a little bit. And I'm going to hop over the fence here and show you the rest. So we've got our young pawpaw trees here, which again, we're at the northern limit of their natural growth distribution. And this winter was hard on them. These were planted from seed in 2022, and it took them a long time to do anything. And last year they were doing beautifully, but there was some dieback. And if I get in closer, you can probably see. So it was all the way up here, but it's died back and it's growing back from below. So they've survived, and I imagine that at this point I can trust that they will do well. I'm going to try and more gracefully jump over the fence again this time. So up on this side we've got a mix of raspberries and elderberries. Elderberries have flowered beautifully. I've got a beautiful little gooseberry that I planted 4 years ago, and he seems very happy with a growing amount of shade from the elderberry, but he's producing really well. And these are our oldest patch of raspberries. We were given these in 2022. I ate my first raspberry today. So they're starting to come along. But it's just very rewarding to see them really well established and just such a large fruit set on them, despite this horrible long cold winter. We've got a second row of raspberries that is often a bit neglected. So I've got the water system on that. And I think I've got some water on my camera. And so again, we've got a variety of vegetables, and then we've left a natural area in the garden for native pollinators. And these are grapes. And we have 4 different varieties of hardy grapes. This one is, I believe, Valiant, and it's a Concord type grape. It did not mind the cold winter, so it's doing well. What we've noticed is that there's more danger from human intervention. Overzealous weeding has chopped down this grapevine last summer, so it's on its way back. But these grapevines are now producing quite a lot, so hopefully it's not too much for these. They were planted in 2023, so this is their 3rd year. And last year was the first real fruit production that we got. And it looks like this year we'll get a good amount. They're all table grapes, different varieties. So Niagara and Himrod, which are a green table grape. And we have Canadis, which for the longest time I was called it Candice. Canadis is a sweet pink variety. It's delicious. It's my favorite of the 3. And then the Valiant, which is again a Concord type grape. And I think last year we were a little eager to taste them, and we harvested the Valiant a little early, and they were very sour. So we're going to give them a longer time to ripen and see if that helps the sugar content this year. And these are some of our blackcurrant bushes, which are doing fine. Some things, as I said, do not mind the cold whatsoever. Our hascap, what they don't like is getting too dry and too much competition, but the cold winters has not bothered them. And this jungle is our old blackberry patch. These are actually the blackberries that I had at home that we transplanted when we first joined the garden. And as I said, sometimes once every 10 years ago, there's a really cold winter that kills some of the first year cane. So the second year fruit production is really impacted by that. And so there was dieback, but we are getting flower set and some fruit set, but it definitely will not be as much as we would usually get from these established canes. And then just walking down the perimeter, we've got our beehives up there, which are new to the garden. And then we tried to put a whole row of either native perennials for pollinators, fruiting bushes, blackcurrant, and then fruit trees. So we've got apple trees, and on the inside it's our vegetable garden. So as I say, things are coming along for the beginning of July. And this guy, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find them now that I'm looking for them, but had flowered nicely and has some nice young apples forming. This is one of our oldest apple trees. Stephen planted this one before I was a member of the garden, so I believe in 2021. So it's well established, it's getting quite large, and it is going to be our biggest apple producer this year, I believe. So that's kind of it. That's a tour of the garden in this very hot July 1st. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then you click the like button, and if you like this content and want to see more of what we're doing at this community garden, you can subscribe, and I will be giving updates from time to time. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.